Bienvenidos a otro episodio de Ya es hora. Les saluda Cristina Ortega. El día de hoy tenemos una invitada muy especial. She is a local women business owner, Andria de Andria's Tienda. Thank you so much for coming. Tell us a little bit about you.
Thank you for having me. Yes, my name is Andria. I was born and raised here in Mesa. I grew up in Mesa and then I went to school in Gilbert. So that was kind of different growing up. My mom was a single parent. My parents divorced at a young age. I was about 10 years old. I am the youngest out of two. My sister is 6 years older than me, so I wasn't supposed to happen. But I really enjoyed my childhood, even though I saw my mom struggle a lot. She worked a lot. A lot of the times when she worked, I had to, stay with my grandmothers who looked after me. And at certain times, I remember moving around a lot as a kid. I had stability because I always went to the same schools, but growing up, living in different places and different times, it was a little difficult. But I also remember my grandmothers always giving me arts and crafts to focus on. And so I just took it. I loved creating art growing up. I loved making jewelry. How I got started into jewelry was my grandmother, my dad's mom. She was retired. She loved going to the Senior Citizen Center and picked up jewelry making as a hobby. And so I remember one day I was just watching TV with her and she was like, Mia, come here. Come take a look at this. And I remember being so fascinated by all the shiny beads that she would use. Later, I would learn that there were Swarovski crystals. And she's like, make this with me. And so she showed me how to make my very first bracelet. And I was kind of just hooked from there. I really enjoyed working with my hands. And I remember birthday presents, Christmas presents. Oh, get Andria a bead kit from Michael's. Like everyone knew what to gift me.
Right.
And so I remember when my mom's mom passed away, I asked my mom, can I please have her jewelry box? And she's like, yeah, that's fine. And it was so unbelievable because I remember making her tons of earrings growing up. And she still had the earrings that I made in perfect condition. And it was crazy to me because I taught myself how to make earrings. I didn't look up a YouTube tutorial. There wasn't anything like that. I was born in the 90s, so there wasn't anything like that for me. There were probably books, but as a child, I probably didn't have the attention span to read them. So I just kind of had to figure out. And it was amazing to me that I just came up with this ingenuity. And I was like, you know what? This was like in my 20s, my early 20s, when she passed away. And so I was like, you know what, maybe I should get back into making jewelry. I've worked tons of jobs in customer service. I love customer service. It's one of my favorite things that I like to implement in my business now. I love serving people and making them feel good when they come into my store. So with that, I didn't go to school for jewelry design. I actually had to go straight to work. I didn't have much of a guidance when it came to that. I don't blame my mom in any way. She always told me, whatever you want to do, you'll be the best at doing it. And I love my mom for that. And when out of high school, actually, I did go to college. I was able to apply for a scholarship at Chandler Gilbert Community College for 2 years. And that took care of like my generals. And I took public speaking. I loved that class. It was really fun for me. And then eventually I had to just go straight to work. And that, up until now, prior to like my business, since I've had my business for 7 years, I used to clean homes. And that was something that I did for 2 years. And did numerous jobs like prior to that as well too.
Wow. So do you feel like, I know you mentioned that a lot of this was kind of developed through your childhood. How do you think, outside of your home, do you feel like it impacted you as far as maybe envisioning yourself doing that in the future? Or do you feel like it was just at the time something to keep you busy?
At the time, like growing up, I didn't say like, I want to be a jewelry designer when I was like 10 years old or 12, when I was making clothes and things like that. I didn't really envision it for myself. I just knew I love doing this. I was very honed in and just kind of in the moment, escaping what was around me. And so it wasn't until, high school, I started to question, like, what colleges should I go to, and I applied for a college. I got accepted, but it was a private college, which didn't allow any FAFSA aid. And so I was like, oh, well, that's not for me. If I was meant to be this, I'll find my way.
Right.
That's how I felt at 18. I'll just find my own way and make it happen. And I've had that mindset consistently throughout my life up until now. When I face challenges, I'll just find my own way.
Yeah. And I think that's the best way to face things because I'm also that type of person where at least you tried. And if it doesn't work out for you, I don't force it. I feel like forcing things just isn't genuine and kind of guides you to places that don't really serve a purpose. And I know you actually mentioned that you are very intentional with everything you do. So how do you apply that to your daily life? And does that inspire you as far as to where you've been now?
My daily life now. So I'm a business owner. It takes up the majority of my time. And what I have in my store to where I shop, it's very intentional. I want to shop local. I want to shop from people that I know or that are my community members. I've always had this instinct to do this. Even before I was a business owner, I loved finding little shops that were mom and pop shops. I just feel like the rooms are just different. There's just more love compacted in a little space. Yeah, no.
And I think that's what, like you mentioned, we're lacking, especially right now where there aren't a lot of spaces for things like that are culturally rich and intentional. I feel like we're kind of on the back rooms of everything, and the fact that you actually go and look for small businesses to introduce to people that might not otherwise know that they exist. So how is that process for you?
So for me, I loved going to El Rancho. I loved going to Food City growing up because it was just a little piece of cultura that I got to taste because I didn't grow up with parents that were from Mexico. I'm third gen. My mom's parents were born here, except for my abuelita. She was actually born in Spain. So I got that first taste of first generation being not a foreigner, not an immigrant, but just first generation American, right? So, but as far as I know, my other grandparents, they're from Mexico, my grandparents' parents. And so I've always really been inspired by Mexican culture, Sonoran culture, and just being really inspired in the way that I want to make it part of my lifestyle. A lot of times, yeah.
And how has it been because I'm sure that you've maybe collaborated with other artists and not just small businesses, but how has it been for you internally to kind of feel like you're doing something that's impactful?
Well, when I was first beginning to start my business, I had women that helped me. And so it took me a while to recognize that somebody was holding my hand. I didn't do this alone. This is not something that I could have done alone at all. There were women paving the way for me to be where I am today. And I just want to keep that cycle going. For instance, when I wanted a logo for my brand, I hired a badass Latina tattoo artist and she did my logo. And every time I need something for my business or something that I see an opportunity for another person, I want to try to connect people into the community. Oh, I know somebody for that. Oh, you're having an event, you should have this person, I feel like it should be more of a community-centered space here as far as businesses and being in Phoenix, because I just barely moved to Phoenix maybe 8 years ago. Okay. Being raised in the East Valley, things are very different. And when I hear people come to my shop that are from Chandler, that are from Queen Creek, it's the same. And I don't like to hear that. I wish there were more spaces like mine throughout the valley, but there is a reason why I am here today is because I want it really bad. I want other people to share what I have in my shop.
Right. And I think especially right now where we do have like social media as a great tool, that's also another way, you know, to kind of spread the message like, hey, you know, we have these businesses that maybe you're not accustomed to see, but we exist.
Yeah.
So it's always kind of interesting to hear that even like in Mesa, it's very different to hear. I was born and raised downtown. So even that, I feel like here we are very cultural. We are very centered, especially like downtown where, I mean, before the gentrification, but a lot of the spaces there were Chicanos, you know, black and brown neighbors, you know what I mean? And so how was that experience as far as just the culture growing up in Mesa? Like what would be the difference?
Growing up, I remember graduating in 2011, and prior to that was SB 1070. So much of the same feelings as back then are kind of arising now. Like it was very traumatic because a lot of my friends growing up, they weren't allowed to graduate. They weren't allowed to walk because they weren't born here. And so just having that, it's been very triggering lately with everything with the ICE raids. But, you know, it was hard.
Yeah.
And it sucks to see that it's continuing to be hard for a lot of our community members, our family members.
Yeah. And I think that's why it's important that you are kind of making those connections because we have lost community. A lot of that has been lost, and there are intentions to kind of isolate everybody. And I've always thought about that, especially since like 2020 with the whole COVID situation where we were kind of separated, like the human interaction was very different. But then that also kind of paved ways for people to kind of leave the corporate world and, you know, kind of discover, hey, I used to like painting when I was little, and hey, like now I'm really good at it. And they never went back to corporate. So is that, I know you said that you've been in business for about 7 years. Is that kind of where a lot of your inspiration and kind of drive kind of came from?
Well, I struggle every day on what I should continue to keep this going. Does anyone care? Is anyone going to care? Is there longevity in this business? But then I remember my why, and my why is because there's a lack of representation.
Yeah,
I need to be here. It's important because I don't just sell things to consume. I try really hard to research the brands in my shop. I have 27 other small businesses in there. Some are locally owned, some are out of state, but they're all small batch makers. None of them are on Amazon and none of them are mass produced. And to me, that is so special they care about quality. They care about intention of who's wearing it in mind. And I just love to see what other entrepreneurs come up with that have, you know, the same mindset as me. And that fit perfectly alongside my jewelry.
Right. Yeah. And that's when you can make like those connections as far, like it flows. Yeah. So how do you, I know you said that you do take in consideration the purpose, the intentions, even when you're trying to get other businesses into your own business. But what has been the feedback from them? Like, do you feel that they see it as like an opportunity that maybe they wouldn't have otherwise found?
Actually, some have reached out to me and they're just so appreciative that they get to have their product in a physical location, that they tell me I'm inspiring and that, you know, this is real for them and that it's a great opportunity, and vice versa. Like, I just want to keep feeding my community as much as they feed me. And I try my best to find things, especially if they are made in Mexico, they have to be ethically sourced. And same with like my jewelry, like all the components, all the gemstones, there should be no child labor involved. I go through a specific organization where I buy gemstones, where they make sure it comes clean. There's no detrimental harm towards the environment when they're made.
Wow. So you're very, very specific.
Yeah. I mean, design, I'm very obsessive when it comes to design and how things are made. And I'm just naturally a curious person, so I question everything.
No, and I think that's also something that isn't introduced, especially to, I feel like, the Latino community where, we do have artesanos and things like that. But because we live in an age where there's really no quality, I feel like, and that's in general across everything, clothing, we are like consumers of anything that's basically sold to us. And I think that's why it's important to have businesses like you and people like you that are, willing to go through a process where you're making sure that these things aren't harming anybody. And that's, the environment, people, because, we live in a society where it is,
it's
profit,
fast,
it's profit over people too. So how do you feel like that also impacts other businesses that would, maybe they start questioning, hey, like, how am I creating, the things I sell or the things I put out there?
I mean, I would hope so. I would like to hear people buying less on Amazon, buying less from Temu. There's tons of other ways to get what you need. And if there isn't, then maybe you don't need it. Maybe it's not really that important right now. And cheap doesn't last. It really doesn't. And where does it go? It goes back into our environment and never decomposes. Yeah.
And there's no meaning behind it. I feel like when it is kind of like a mom and pop shop or just a shop where, you don't see things that are in like major stores or things like that, that people actually find things that are meaningful. And, with small stores, if you're familiar with them, like you're going to find something that you're not going to find elsewhere. And it's going to be like that emotional connection too. So do you have anything specific that has been like emotionally driven when you're creating like your jewelry?
Well, before I answer your question, what came to mind when you were talking about that, what you could find in small stores versus big stores, one thing that came to mind was sage, palo santo. Those things were very tied to cultural and lifestyle and spiritual connection, that if you grew up with someone using it, most likely you're going to use it. Or if you see it, you most likely buy it and try it. But I hope Walmart doesn't sell it. Like, I hope Target doesn't sell it.
Five Below does.
Five Below does. That's horrible.
They have a whole section.
Because it's one of those things that when you mass produce it, it's harmful towards the environment. Like Palo Santo are made from trees. And when you just continue to, with deforestation, that's the opposite of what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
We're trying to connect holistically and create harmony with us and Mother Earth. So
yeah,
that's crazy. I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure I've seen like sage, I've seen crystals, I've seen incense, they have a literal whole set. I think I don't want to say like tarot, but I want to say I've seen similar things to that.
That's crazy. But
yeah,
back to your question. I'm sorry.
No, you're okay.
What inspires me
or something that just like, have you ever had the experience where it's emotionally like that emotional connection with your jewelry?
So I believe a lot in energy, and anytime I create something, make something from scratch, create a custom order, I would try really hard to be in a great mood. And so I feel like that in tune is going to go into whoever's going to wear it, whoever's going to enjoy this piece, they're going to take that good energy. And so there's been times where I look at certain jewelry and I want to be like, I want to make that, but my way. I want to change the colors. I want to change the tones and tweak it a little bit. That's kind of how my designs and my collections have evolved over the years. And so a lot of the times I get inspired by custom orders though. People give me ideas and I'm like, I never would have thought about that. But it's still my ideas because I'm creating what they have the idea to do. but I still get to initiate that full design process. And so I love custom orders a lot.
Yeah, that they kind of give you like the guideline, but then you take creative control. Mm-hmm. Is there a specific piece or experience that you can share with us that has just kind of stuck with you, that maybe has been very meaningful to you?
One thing particularly is what I've been creating a lot recently are the corazón sagrados, the sacred heart necklaces. Mm-hmm. So my abuelita, my mom's mom, who was born in Spain, she was actually raised Catholic. And I inherited her communion outfit portrait. Okay. And I really love that. And I just feel that even though religion can separate people, I do also feel that it brings people together. And there's certain symbolisms that I like to play with in jewelry design, whether or not I believe in Christianity or not, I'm still going to work with certain symbols because people ask me, or because it's tied to a memory that I have of my abuelita. And so that's one thing. Another thing too is I love working with roses. And a lot of people love to associate that with rosaries. And it's just, when it comes to jewelry, I love to look at the history of jewelry, why we wear what we wear, and how pieces have evolved over centuries. Why are things still symbolic to this day? Yeah. And I personally just like to be the artist that likes to mold and shift into things my way. It doesn't necessarily have to be inspired by a certain thing. It's mainly just seeing something and turning it into what I want to see in the world today.
So do you feel like you get inspired, right, by certain pieces? Do you feel like you're definitely putting in your creative aspect when it comes to the creation? Is there anything specific that maybe recently you've kind of discovered that you don't see often, but it's kind of come to you naturally?
Yes, and that's with working with symbolisms, like working with hummingbirds. My grandmother had a hummingbird wind chime growing up. She had hummingbirds like literally everywhere. And so when I was just, looking through different designs to make over the years, I just was like, oh, I'm gonna do a hummingbird. And I didn't realize till later, like I was doing it intentionally for her. And now that like I've seen people love it and more people like it, that they also remind them, the hummingbird earrings that I make remind them of their grandmother or their mom. Yeah. And so I was like, that's really special. And I love that connection and that it's, honoring our ancestors in a way. Also with roses, my abuelita, she had a rose garden growing up, being retired and you garden. Yeah. It's just kind of natural. And so those are things that I love to keep in my collections every month or so whenever I make a new collection.
Well, how often do you introduce collections? Like, does it take you a specific amount of time?
Throughout the years, I've evolved certain pieces and I have staples. But also this year, I really wanted to challenge myself and create a collection for each gemstone of the month. So April, I did, instead of diamonds, I did cubic zirconias, which is a fair price. It's a little more pocket friendly for my demographic and just for people in general. So I am starting May emeralds, and it's kind of just how I create my designs now. It's kind of just what I'm seeing, what I've collected over the years, and kind of just using what I have. And also, I'm very aware of what trends are happening in jewelry design. Yeah. And I try to avoid them because I want something that's not going to be trendy. I want something that's going to just kind of last time, whatever it may be. Like I want classic collections and designs.
Yeah. You want something that brings the attention. I feel like right now we have a lot of simplicity. And
I hate it.
And the thing that comes to mind,
because people are like, I just want a gold hoop. And I'm like, you don't want beads. You don't want a charm. You don't want anything fun. You don't want to pop a color. And I get it. Like society now, we're in that fast culture mindset where like, we just need to throw something on and go. Like accessories are just there. They're not necessarily an expression or part of you, or they don't want to tell a story. They just need something that is going to look good for all occasions. And I totally get that. But there's also people that aren't like that. Not everyone's the same. Not everyone thinks the same or dresses the same. And so I'm here for those that want something beautiful, fun, creative, and unique.
Yeah. No, and because everything is so fast paced, it always comes to mind that, you know, like in Mexico or just in other places of the world, it's very colorful. I mean, I've seen casas that are pink, you know, purple, yellow. And now I know we've kind of entered the gray area where homes are like different shades of gray. And I feel like that's also kind of a perspective you can kind of see in jewelry where people think, oh, it's just a necklace. It doesn't have any charms. It doesn't have anything. It's just a gold or silver. So for you, how, let's say someone comes in and they're like, I don't know, I want something simple. Like, do you take the initiative to be like, let's add something? Or like, do you feel like anybody just comes into your store and they're like they change their perspective of what they actually want?
I feel like most people who come to my store know what they're getting or know what they're looking for. But there are people that just randomly come in because they see the sign off the side of the street. And they're just like, oh, this is nice. Like, this is really beautiful. Do you make something like this? And then, my first instinct is to say yes and to see how I can help them and serve them in whatever way they need. It's very rare, though, that someone just wants like a sterling silver chain. I feel like if I already had it, they would buy it. But most people don't want to take the time to wait and look and see different types of styles of chain or even go through price points. Like if it's not there, they're ready to leave. Like their attention span is literally 30 seconds, 10 maybe.
Yeah. So. No, and I agree with that. I feel like when people, I mean, even just shopping in general, you kind of go in with an idea. So I think where I was kind of going with the question is more like, do they come in and maybe looking for a specific thing, but then once they're in the store, they're like, oh, I want that. I like that. Like
sometimes that does happen. Yeah. Sometimes that does happen. Like, oh, this is better than what I imagined, or I've never seen something like this before. And then where, I know that I kind of have a general idea where the Tienda is located, but how would you describe the area where you are located? So I'm in between Grand and downtown. So I'm located off of 9th Avenue and Roosevelt. I'm in the neighborhood and I share the building with a bilingual bookstore, Palabras. I share the building with So Art Collective and also Sochi Plant Shop. And we as a whole are known as Casa Caracol. Oh, wow. I didn't know that. And I know that within that, you also offer workshops. So what type of workshops do you offer? So throughout the years, I've enjoyed having experiences and going above and beyond to share memories and create art with, like, it's hard to say customers, they're supporters. I feel like I know these women that are my regulars, like I know them as friends or I look up to them. And so it's fun to create an atmosphere for them and for me to make memories and enjoy time together creating. You know, they're not just coming in buying something. They're, you know, coming off from a hard day at work or a week and they just want to relax and enjoy themselves. And so I've been the head of my business in all roles. So I am also the event coordinator and the teacher of these workshops. So the workshops have changed. I've thrown a lot of stuff at the wall to see what sticks. Anytime I try to do a jewelry workshop, no one really signs up. And it's kind of heartbreaking to me because that's the one workshop that I would love to teach, our jewelry workshops. But it seems that more paint workshops take off, which that's fine. I'm willing to teach those. And what's special about the paint workshops that I teach is that my friend Noelle, her husband is a graphic designer. His name's Dominic. They're based out of Highland Park, California. And they have their own t-shirt line. They screen print everything. They're what I would love to be. And they also create these tote bags, these amazing tote bags where they're Frida Kahlo, they're a Katrina, or they're Selena. And so I buy from them and I teach classes on their cultural based classes. The classes that I teach are also very intentional. They're things that I feel like should be celebrated and continue to, just sort of be different versus other paint and sips that are like a cactus scene or a dog or things
you
like
come
that.
up with a theme. Yeah. We're okay. So I know growing up, you said that your abuela just kind of shifted, or just the women in general in your life kind of introduced you to crafts or just being that creative mind. Do you feel like everything you do now, whether it's daily life, whether it's yourself, like Seth, or your business, do you feel like there's a certain part of like your mom, your grandma that you can see in your art?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The reason why I make hoops is because I watch my mom wear hoops. And so a lot of what I do is inspired by the women that raised me.
And how do you feel? Like, do you feel that this is something that is going to continue on? Like, do you feel like maybe at some point you're going to have maybe someone that you inspire that is going to make hoops in memory of you?
Well, the ultimate goal would to be big enough where I can hire somebody else in my community, somebody who has a passion to be their own boss one day or create jewelry as a passion and a career. So I would love to see that happen. Whether or not they're inspired by me to make something specific, that's totally up to them. But that's beautiful because we should all be helping each other. We should all be inspiring each other.
Yeah. And it's so important to kind of honor those before us. And I feel like you've kind of explained that within your creative world and just the intention, it is a reflection, like a direct reflection of the women and just your, own experiences. And again, we go back to where in the time we're living, it's lack of. And, it can be, everything can be a reflection of what we're living, politics, affordability. So how do you kind of connect all of that to your supporters? Like, is there anything you do specifically that they can enter your store and just be like, this is where I need to be? Like, this was intentional for me to walk in and not just, oh, this is a nice store.
They feel it. I know they feel it because they keep coming back. And, I listen to them when they do have suggestions or when they leave comments on my Instagram or when they message me. And so a lot of the times, yes, my store may be something that I would like to do and see in the community, but also there's parts of it that's inspired by me, my lineage, and the women that raised me. But also I feel like that connection brings us together, brings me and my supporters together because they may not say it, but there's something there that they feel as well too. Yeah.
And it's always interesting because, like I said, I think throughout the recent years, we've really lost touch with community. And that's always something I actually try to push too. I'm very antisocial, but when it comes to especially my culture, my cultura, because we are typically raised, in gatherings and like we have a million cousins and tios and tias that as we grow up, especially in the States, I feel that we're just very segregated, very, we just kind of grow up and that's it. We kind of figure out our own path, our own world. So for you, how has it been to just build that community outside of your own community growing up?
I also feel like we have to make the world that we want to live in. I grew up with tons of family birthday gatherings, Easter gatherings, holiday gatherings. And then all of a sudden that stopped. And I got a little bit older and started to question like, well, my tia doesn't want to take shit from my primo anymore. Like she shouldn't have to. She's setting boundaries, you know? And so I realized like, yeah, maybe I should set my own boundaries too. And I've recently had to let go of like a lifelong friendship because of the politics that are involved in this atmosphere now. And so what I do now is create the world that I want. Like if I want to have a workshop at my shop, I can. If I want to create a market with the co-owner of the bookstore, Chawa Palabras, like, hey, let's have an art market. Like, let's continue to just grow community. And we find friends in it. We find people, you know, that we wouldn't normally find or cross paths elsewhere. So I feel like you keep putting in the work and the work's going to come, you know, in good faith back. So it's just, you know, it's one of those things that I've just done everything intentionally and with a good heart and positivity. And I feel like that naturally comes back.
Yeah. It's always nice to find free will. I feel like, you know, because you're just, and it's interesting because when you find something that you genuinely love and you just kind of break yourself away from, you know, then what's considered normal, which is corporate 9 to 5, you know, but when you're a business owner, you don't have an actual, like schedule. I feel like you work 24/7.
It all depends on the business owner. Like I've started to realize my own energy levels and my stress levels. And I'm like, no, I do need some kind of switch off. I would like to have 3 days off to do what I need to do in admin work. So it's hard explaining to like certain people that are older that they're like, oh, you have 3 days off. You only work 4 days. Like, no, if I have to answer a message, if somebody needs something from me right away, like I will, depending on, you know, the seriousness, I will get back to it. However, there are things like I'm getting interviewed on a podcast. This can't wait, whether I'm on a Thursday or Sunday when I'm working, you know, like things, opportunities come my way and I have to be open to it. And that's what I asked the universe for. Like I asked them for this opportunity and, you know, so it's just, every business owner is different. But for me personally, what I've learned throughout the 7 years is that I did my time the first 5 years. I would do markets back to back. I would do markets, you know, consecutively throughout the month and also on the weekdays, also working full time and part time cleaning houses. And so I just, you know, now I feel like I understand myself more and I understand how to create that balance.
So for you, just kind of to put everything together, which was your, not just your business, but who you are as a person, your background, what would be something that you would tell, I mean, even a supporter or maybe just someone that's walking in the sidewalk and they see your store, what would be something that you would tell them as far as inspiring them or maybe something you wish someone would have told you?
I had a quote when I came and then I forgot it.
It happens.
Yeah. Nothing good comes quickly. Everything takes time. Be patient. Be consistent. And this is what I've kept in mind throughout this whole entire journey is that anything worth fighting for is going to be worth fighting for a long time. And so just stick to it. Try lots of different things too. I didn't realize I liked jewelry design until, you know, it was a hobby. But then when I found out this is something that I love, whether or not I don't have my own shop, I can go work for another jewelry artist because I love jewelry that much. I just find, you know, the industry in itself fascinating. And I feel like that is, you know, a really good advice to give to somebody is find something that you're not easily bored with. So I'll give you this space to just kind of invite everybody to the tiendita and then also where they can follow you and find you. Yes. So I'm located right off of Roosevelt and 9th Avenue. My website has my address and my hours as well. And my social is Andria's Tienda on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and then my website is also andriastienda.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed having
me.
you. And obviously, we want our followers to go ahead and support you in any way that they can. And I'll be making a visit soon.
Thank you. Thank you so much for giving me a voice. It really means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andria.